Welcome everyone to our Matt Connect Accessing Academic Content. While you are all joining us today, if you could be so kind as to tell us what your job title is and where you're from and how you heard about this webinar. We're so happy to have you with us. If you are also here for ACV REP credit, our opening code is Braille. Our opening code is Braille. And you guys can see I flipped those, haha. Okay, so our opening code is Braille. Welcome everyone. This is the Matt Connect Accessing Academic Content webinar. We're so glad to have you with us today. If you want a certificate of attendance, you wait for the opening and closing codes and send those to outreach@aph.org. Our opening code today is Braille. Great to have you with us. We still have our attendees coming in and joining us. There is a poll available to let us know what your job title is and where you're from, and then how you heard about this webinar. If you are also here for continuing education credit, your opening code is Braille. Your opening code is Braille. Hello, Texas. You are welcome to put in your chat where you are from. It's great to see all our friends join us. Again, if you are here for continuing education credit, the opening code is Braille. Welcome, Colorado. Welcome, Vermont. We are here for the Matt Connect Accessing Academic Content. Welcome, Virginia and Florida and Eastern Kentucky. Glad to have you with us. If you are collecting opening and closing codes for continuing education credit, our opening code is Braille. Our opening code is Braille. So I know not all of you had a chance to access the polls, which is fine. You're welcome to put your information in the chat for us as to what your job title is, where you are from, and how you heard about this webinar. Welcome, New York. Welcome, Oregon. I'm going to end that poll, share the results. 70% of you are teachers of students with visual impairments. 36% orientation mobility instructors, 5% vocational rehabilitation specialists, and then a little bit of smatter of college faculty, adult consumers, students in a college program. We have a parent welcome, some paraprofessionals, and others. Where are you from? Northeast US is 25%, good chunk of you, and I know we are in that probably good time zone for a majority of you right now. Southeast 22, Northwest 12, Southwest 16, Midwest 18. We have one US territory, welcome. Some Canadians, welcome, welcome, and other. How did you hear about it? That helps us know that we're getting the word out. So the last time verbally, our opening code is Braille, and I am going to turn it over to you, Jim.
Thanks, Leanne, and welcome everyone. Glad you could join us on this Friday. I'm going to start a new tradition here with a fun poll question for Fridays. And so to lead us off, Leanne's going to drop that first fun poll question out there, and Eric is going to read it aloud. Go ahead, Eric.
Good Friday, everybody. And our first little fun poll: which superpower would you like to have? A, mind reading. B, invisibility. C, teleportation. D, flying. And E, I already have a superpower. And I'm going to tell you a little story here why I chose that little poll just for fun today. Is that I have a shirt that I wear when I'm on vacation or I'm off duty, and I am a fan of hockey. As you notice, my pucks that are holding my camera, but I'm also a fan, and I love cigars and whiskey scotch. And I have this shirt that says, my superpower, I make whiskey and cigars disappear. So that's a little story here just as an introduction, a fun introduction today.
So, what was everyone's superpower? 27% want teleportation, 21 mind reading, 20 invisibility, 19 flying, and then 14 of you already have a superpower. If you already have a superpower, put it in the chat. I want to know what your superpower is. My superpower is reading Braille.
Very good. So, Leanne, just to clarify, are we recording just yet?
Yep, you're good to go.
All right, great. Okay, so today's agenda, we're going to start off with objectives, and then we're going to get into looking at using the Mac Connect to import documents, edit documents, and then export documents, right? These days, so much of what the kids need to access is available electronically. They're living in different systems, for example, Google Classroom or maybe a learning management system like Schoology. And they're coming in formats like PDF as well as Word. So we want to zero in today on how you can take some of those documents that are living outside of the Mac Connect, bring them in, manipulate them, and then export them out. So Eric will be going through that with you today. Obviously, we'll do questions, and we encourage you to drop those questions in the chat. Natalie and Justine will be fielding those. And then just want to throw out just a little bit of caution. We are going to be dropping a few extra poll questions out there today. We would really appreciate your participation. If you need to, dropping your response into the chat would be fine. We'll be taking some of the information that you'll be sharing with us today and reflecting on some things so that we know what to do moving forward with some solutions. So for our objectives, the participants today will learn how to import PDF, Microsoft Word documents into the Mac Connect. The participants will review how to write, highlight, and type on a document imported from a web-based resource. And the participants will learn how to export documents from the Mac Connect to web-based resources. Just a quick reminder that this is Mantis Week, and so we are launching our new 40-cell refreshable Braille display that we partnered with HumanWare on. This device has a QWERTY keyboard, acts as a Braille terminal, and then has an editor, a book reading tool, and a calculator that is built into it. Joining us from north of the border is Eric, Product Director from HumanWare. Many of you are familiar with Eric. Joining Eric is Natalie from HumanWare as well, Product Manager of the Low Vision Division. And then we've also asked to join us Justine from APH, who is our Low Vision Product Leader. So all three of them will be contributing today. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to throw it over to you, Eric.
Thank you, Jim. So one of the comments last time was that you guys like to see me live doing and interacting with the tablet. Last time what we did is that I shared my screen, so I had these big icons and everything, but the comment was that it was hard to see where I was tapping or clicking on the tablet. So we've changed a bit of the setup here today. So I'm just gonna change my camera so that you can see my screen. Hopefully this is gonna be, that's gonna work correctly. Okay, so I got a Mac Connect right in front of me, and again, my camera is held by pucks. So I just hope that the pucks won't fall over on my Mac Connect. But in either case, the Mac Connect would survive a puck slap shot. Okay, so first things first, what I'm gonna do first is that I'm gonna show you the version of Prodigy that I'm using on my Mac Connect so that you would have the same version on yours if you have one at home and you'd like to follow, or by watching the videos afterwards and trying it on your own. So what I'll do is that in Prodigy, I will swipe to my settings application. And inside my settings application, I'm just going to move this out a bit because I see the autofocus going. In the settings menu, what I have here, I have several options. And one of them is system. And the other one that I'm going to go take a look first is the about menu. So it's going to be the last one completely at the bottom. And this is my Prodigy software, the latest version that is installed on my Mac Connect, which is Prodigy 4.3.0.8 352. So that's the latest version. Check out if you have the latest version. If you don't, what you want to do is that you're going to click on the back button, which is on the top left corner of the screen, and go back one level. And then in system, what you'll find here is a Wi-Fi setup. So make sure that you are connected to the internet. And then once you're connected to the internet, what you want to do is you want to tap on the software update. So for my example here, my tablet is already up to date, so I don't need to do any update. But if I would have an update, it would say you want to install it, and it will download the update and install it for you, okay? Then the other thing I want to do is that we're going to be talking about sharing some information, some files from Prodigy to Prodigy, out of Prodigy, and I'm going to use a couple of applications for that. And what I want to do is that in the Mat Connect, there's a useful tool called the APH Toolbox, which I'm going to scroll inside my Prodigy menu and go and tap on the big APH icon that I have here. So by doing that, there's a list of application that comes pre-installed on the Mat Connect when you buy it. When you buy one, there's pre-installed application. There's a no-so. So for example, there's Nearby Explorer, Flip Over Faces, Lockdown Pro, Dropbox, Word, Excel, etc. But what I'm going to add here to the list, I'm going to add 2 applications for now, maybe 3. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to go and tap on the button on the top right corner, which is the settings button. And then there's 2 options here, either to choose application or to organize my application. So I'm going to go and select choose application. And then I'm going to move down and I'm going to add Chrome. So I'm going to tap on Chrome, and there's a checkbox that's going to appear, and that's going to be added to my list of applications. And then I'm going to go down to my Google submenu. So if I scroll down, I see Google, and these are all the Google applications that I have installed on my tablet. And there's one called Classroom. You can download it from the Play Store and install it on your Mat Connect. And once it's installed, you're going to see it in this list that you can add it to the APH toolbox. But I want to also add the Google Drive, which is called Drive, which is this one here. And so these are 3 applications that I'm going to be using today to share information from and out Prodigy. And I'm going to go back to my list here. If I go to the top, my 3 applications have been added to the top. If I don't want them at the top, I can organize. Remember the second option that I had in my settings? Well, then you can organize the order of these applications that you want in the toolbox. But these are basically the 3 tools that I'm going to be using today. And the first one I want to show you is Google Classroom. I'm not going to go into too much of a training detail in Google Classroom. That's a separate webinar, but I just want to show here, if I tap on Google Classroom, I can see right now I've created my Mat Connect class, for example, and I can tap that and have access to all my documents, all my courses, and I can download them physically on my tablet and then access them. But this Google Classroom uses a Google Drive, which I've installed. That's my second application that I have installed in my toolbox, which I'm going to use a bit more for sharing my documents. Okay. So I'm going to leave you to explore Google Classroom. It's a nice management system to manage the workload in a class, to pass down for, worksheets, homework, things like that. So it's a very nice management tool to have. I'm going to show you in Chrome a tool that I use, and it's a free tool to convert your Word document to PDF. This is a web-based free tool that you can access. I'm just going to maybe put it a bit closer to the to my camera here, and it's called Online-Convert. So you search that on Google, and it's going to be one of the first links, and you'll be brought to another menu. And the second option you have here there is Document Converter. If I tap on that, I can convert all kinds of document to either to docx, HTML, or PDF. So the format that I'm interested and sending to Prodigy is the PDF format. There's several ways on converting your Word document or any other documents to a PDF document, but this, I find it's pretty simple to use. I just tap on convert to PDF, and then you can go and select a document. This can be done on a laptop. Once it's ready, you share it through your Google Drive, and then you can have access to the Mat Connect. I'm showing it here through my Mat Connect because the Mat Connect is an all-in-one solution. So I saw there was a student there that's participating to the webinar. Then you can do everything on the Mat Connect that you can do on a real laptop. Okay, so you can do the same thing on a laptop, convert all your documents, and then send it over to Google Drive and have the Mat Connect read it out to you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my Prodigy, and then Google Drive. If I click on that, it's going to start my drive, my Google Drive, and I have several documents that I'm going to use here. And I have EPUB documents, I have Word documents. I can take all that and convert it into a PDF and then import it into my into Prodigy. And how to do that? I'm going to triple tap. I'm going to put it a bit bigger here, and I see that because of my black screen here, I have like a reflection. So I'm just going to move here. Just going to take 2 minutes. That triple tap is an accessibility in Android that you can activate. If you have a visually impaired vision, that's something that you should maybe activate by default. The triple tap makes it a bit bigger. The font is a bit bigger, and you can navigate very easily in Android. And what you want to do is that I have an example here. I have already a PDF here that I have already converted, and there's a three dots on the right-hand side of that file name. You tap on it, and then there's going to be a menu that's going to appear. And when I'm in the zoomed accessibility feature, you pan using 2 fingers. But what I want to do is that in the menu that's going to pop up, I will select download from the menu. Okay. No, sorry. I'm going to open it. I'm going to open with. So I'm going to tap on that, and there's going to be another menu that's going to appear at the bottom of the screen. Okay, which says open with Prodigy or other applications that are compatible on opening a PDF. So what I want to do is I want to open it with a Prodigy. So I'm gonna select just once, but you can always select always, and that's gonna always open your PDFs inside Prodigy. So in my case, I'm just gonna select just once because I do a lot of presentations and I want to show that menu, of course. So what it's doing now, it's going to take the PDF and it's going to convert it into a format where Prodigy will be able to read it and store it inside your gallery. Okay. Once it's done, you can go into your gallery in Prodigy. And gallery is one of the applications that is in the application suite. And you have here the name of the document that was imported, so pull to. And it's in a kind of a book format here. Let me just turn off the light here so I'm going to reduce the glare of that light. Is there any questions that maybe we can answer at the same time?
Yes, we would like to go ahead with our questions. So Leanne, if you can take the lead.
Sure.
The poll question,
we want to know, what is the leading mainstream device being used in your school district or local education agency? Again, if you don't have access to the polls, please feel free to drop this in the chat. Is the leading device an iPad, a notebook computer PC, a notebook computer Mac, Chromebook, or other? And really truly, if the mainstream device being used in your school district is something else, please let us know.
While people are filling up the poll, I can maybe ask 2 questions we have. The first one, unfortunately, we're not going to answer. A teacher is asking what is our opinion on the risk of wearing masks with students. So we're going to let health specialists answer that question. But we have another question. Somebody is saying that it appears that the individual must have vision to do all of this. So it is a product for low vision, but I'm going to let Eric show that we can use audio locator as well.
But
Okay,
yeah,
before you do that, let me end the poll really fast and just share the results. We do find that 54% are utilizing a Chromebook with our audience today, 29% iPad, 13% PC notebook computer, and then some other in the chat, such as an Android tablet, or they aren't in a school district, so it's not one that they're answering. Okay, so how does someone with needing voice use the device?
okay, well, I'm not sure where the question was asked. I don't know. Is it to use Prodigy or is it to use Android? But in Android, there is accessibility that you can activate on Android. So somebody with low vision, you can go into Android. So what I just did here is 5-finger, press and hold on the screen, and you're out into an Android tablet specifically. And what you want to do is that you want to go into all your applications, which is that little button at the bottom with a couple of circles. And then inside these applications, there's a settings application for the tablet. So yes, this is going to be done by somebody that has vision, but once it's activated, you can use the accessibility inside the tablet. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find accessibility. And in accessibility, you have several options here. And the one that I like to activate by default is the magnification gestures, which is really the gesture that I just showed you is a triple tap, and then you can pan and get that magnification level up so you know where you are in the menu. Okay, so that's on. Usually I always suggest to turn it on. And then at the top of this menu, there is a thing called Talkback. So Talkback is, for those of you who are using an iPhone or an iPad, use VoiceOver. Well, this is VoiceOver for Android. So you can activate Talkback, and with using gestures, you can scroll through the menus with voice activated. So it's going to be voice out all the menus for you. Okay, so that's to answer the question. In Prodigy, we do have also audio and voice that can be activated, and it will be voice all the menus inside Prodigy if you need to. But you can also use Talkback in Prodigy. Okay, so the procedure that I just showed you on converting a PDF, you can do that using magnification gestures or having a screen reader on there to navigate through the website, or you can also use Word on a PC and then print it out as a PDF also. That's another way, but there's several ways. This is one way I just showed you on how to convert your documents to PDF. So I'm just gonna zoom out here. I'm gonna go back to my Prodigy. And in Prodigy, if you're somewhere and you're lost, you don't know how to come back, there's two ways of coming back to the main menu. Is either you click on the back button, which is on the top left corner, or you use 2 fingers and double tap on the screen, and you're brought automatically to the main menu of Prodigy. And here I can scroll, and I was at the gallery application where I've imported my PDF. And inside my PDF, this is a book it's a short story, and there's 9 pages. So it imported the pages for you in a format where you can tap on any page, and you have access to your contrast colors, and you can start zooming in, and that with perfect font, because the PDF usually comes with the text associated with that inside the PDF, and we can use that text to do that. But some PDFs are just pictures, and what you can do is that you can run an OCR on them by just going in back to my book, selecting the page or selecting the book, press and hold, and you have the option run OCR, which is at the bottom here of my screen. Run OCR, it will run the OCR on that image if ever that PDF is has only images inside that PDF. So again, to do that, come to the book, press and hold. I don't know if you can do it on the whole book, but you press and hold. When you press and hold on a document or on a page, it brings an action menu. And inside that action menu, you have Run OCR, which is at the bottom here. Tap on that and the OCR will be run. And OCR is an acronym for optical character recognition. Okay, so it's going to detect all the characters in the document.
Okay, Eric,
So,
we have
yep.
a question. Somebody's asking, can the Mat Connect not read documents from Drive without conversion?
No, well, it can maybe do it with a third-party application, which you can find out by yourself, but the Mat Connect comes with Prodigy, which is a fully accessible software that is specifically made for the Mat Connect. You can have the text read out to you out loud just by pressing the play button and have it read out loud. All good for the questions?
No, we have another one. Why do you prefer PDF to a Word document?
I don't prefer PDF, but if you would tell me why we should use PDF, it's a common format. And if you go into several environments, that format will be able to be read. So PDF is a shareable format. You can use DocX, but DocX right now is not supported in Prodigy. It will be supported in a future version. And again, Prodigy is a software that is installed on the Mat Connect, and Prodigy is software that keeps evolving, and these updates are free of charge, and you get them twice a year, and we come out with new features on each update. And in the future versions, we'll have access. You'll have the possibility of opening a Word document in Prodigy, but right now we're not supported that kind of format in Prodigy.
Okay, another question. When importing an accessible PDF, are the tags respected?
That's a good question. Never tested it out. That's something that we should test out. My guess would be yes. It would be placed where, let's say I have an alt text on an image or something like that. It would be placed somewhere beside the image. But I would have to test that. That's a very good question. Thank you for that question.
Okay, and the last question for now. Can you connect the Mat Connect to an iPad? Maybe we would need more information to know why, because we already have.
Well, maybe you want to use the screen on the iPad, but you cannot control your iPad through the Mat Connect. That's one thing. The Mat Connect will be able to project the image that's on the screen onto a bigger screen TV, or in this case, if the iPad has an HDMI in, which I'm not sure it does, you can use that as a screen.
Okay, so that's all the question we had so far. You can keep on going.
Okay, and on the Mat Connect, just to complete that question, there is an HDMI port. It's a mini HDMI port that is on the right-hand side of the device. You can't see my hand there, but it's on the side right here. So there's a small mini HDMI port on that side. Okay, so I have my document, and let's this is to read. What I like to do for students, and especially my child is 10 years old. I like him to read it out loud for me. So I have that text, that enlarged text on the screen, and I turn off the speech, where I'm not gonna have the machine read out the word by word for me, but have the student read out the words. So I can increase the size and then have the student read as they go along. You can slow the speed down. You can increase the speed just by swiping on the screen. If I swipe from right to left, it will increase the speed. If I swipe from left to right, it will decrease the speed. So, and you can deactivate the whole speech on documents also, which you won't have that highlight anymore, and it will just scroll the text for you. So this is for sharing a book that you want the students to read or somebody to read. Very useful. You can convert also EPUBs to PDF and import it into your Prodigy and have it displayed on the same file format that you see here. And there's a couple of things that you can do. You can navigate through page to page. You can go to a place, you can change a page number, the page name, you can add some more to the book. And on the settings here menu, whoops, I just selected my page here. My setting menu, if I go here, I can have a go-to page. So if you have, imagine a book of 50 pages, then I can go and select, let's say, a page. In my case, I can't go higher than 9, but let's select 8 in this case. It's going to bring me to my page 8.
If somebody's asking, how did you do to turn speech off?
Yeah, when my speech is on, normal on documents, when I have my speech, if I press play, my speech is going to start automatically by default. But if I just want to deactivate it for a document or two, you just double tap on the screen and that will put your speech at off for that document. If you want to have that speech off all the time in your document, in all your documents, you can go back into your main menu and then into settings, audio, and there's speech, which is the first option at the top. And right now I have it set as document only, so it's only going to read out documents. So the best example was just what we just did right now. It did not speech anything in my menus or anything elsewhere except when I started reading my document. That would be documents only. I can activate my speech on. Okay, so at speech on, you will have everything read out. So if I go back to my menu, my speech will it will speech every menu, every option on there. And you have a third option where you can put it at off. And if I place it at off, I'm just going to show you what happens to my reading in my page here. I'm going to go back to my page 8, start my page 8, and I'm going to start reading. So I have the same kind of aspect, but it's not gonna turn on the speech anymore. I cannot turn on the speech anymore by double. Oh, there you go. And if you want the inverse, if you have the speech off all the time and you want to have the inverse and you want to have the speech on for a specific document that you're reading, you just double tap on the screen and it will activate the speech for you. Okay.
Okay, we have a question.
Sure.
Can you get pictures of the Mat Connect and send them to an iPad?
You can. What I would use is you can take a picture, or let's say I want to share this. So I want to share this page to a Windows laptop or an iPad in this case. What would you use to share that information? You can use several things. And we can do that by pressing and holding. Let's say I want to share only that page. Press and hold on whatever I want to share. And the first option on the top is share. And I can share it as a PDF. I can share it as a JPEG, which is an image, or I can share it as a text. Let's say I want to share just an image. So I'm going to select image. In the next screen, it will bring me up some applications where I can use in order to share that information. So there's several things that I can do here. I can share it in my photos. I can share it on my notes. I can share, let's say if I go in G, I can share it in Gmail, Google+. I can share it by Bluetooth. I can share it with my my Google Drive. I would use either email or a Google Drive or maybe a Dropbox application that you can use to share that kind of information. And once you go into your iPad or your Windows tablet, you can access those applications and access that information that you just shared.
All right, so let's throw out another question, Leanne, and per the request, we're going to also drop this as a two-part question that Leanne's going to read aloud. I'm going to drop the questions into the chat now, and then I'll drop the responses in.
Okay, so in your opinion, What top 2 magnification technologies, top 2, so only pick 2 of them, are helpful for students in grades K through 6? And then the second one is grades 7 through 12. Here are your choices. Handheld electronic magnification devices, the examples, the Ruby HD. Simple luggable CCTV with distance and near viewing features, example Jupiter. Portable smart device, an example would be like an iPhone or an iPad. Advanced CCTV with low vision features and smart technology, example the Mac Connect. Or other, again, we sometimes miss something, so go ahead and put your other in the chat if there's an other. Remember, pick 2. Pick 2. So 2 for K through 6, and then 2 for 7 to 12. And again, if you can't access it, feel free to drop it in the chat. Top 2 magnification technologies helpful for students. We broke it up by K to 6, 7 through 12. What are you finding you're using with your students? And again, you are welcome to place it in the chat. That is just fine. The votes are trickling down, so I'm going to end the poll. Again, welcome to put it in the chat. The results out of you are 60% the smart device. I'm going to read K through 6 first. Portable smart device, 60%. Handheld, 43. Simple luggable, 40. Advanced CCTV, 33. 5% other. For our 7 through 12, we have 80% advanced CCTV, 66% portable smart device, 9% luggable CCTV, 21% handheld device like a Ruby, and then some other. Thank you so much. Helps us know where to head.
Thank you. Love those polls. Thank you very much for responding to them, and it helps us a lot, like Leanne said, to orient our development and offer you the right material that you need. Thank you again. Okay, the next thing that I'd like to show you is that the Mac Connect has a touchscreen. And you can use that touchscreen either with your finger or you can use Stylus. So I'm just going to show you, have a lot of questions on Stylus. What kind of stylus that you recommend for the Mac Connect? I'm just going to switch my camera here because I think I'm going to have better lighting. But basically, these are the 2 types that I prefer. You can go smaller, but sometimes smaller doesn't mean better. So the first one is like a rubber tip that works pretty good, and it's pretty big. And one that I like really is that because it slides nicely on the screen, it's like a rubber mesh on the tip. These are the 2 that I prefer. I know that I get that kind of question a lot. So these are the 2 that I prefer, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next with my stylus. So for example, I'm reading this short story and my teacher wants me to take notes because, or highlight stuff on it because I'm gonna have a questionnaire to answer from the short story. So I'm just gonna give you a little example. So I'm gonna be acting as a student reading my book. I'm gonna zoom in and I want to highlight with more than human resolution, I lay still. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click on the 3rd button at the bottom of my screen here, the button banner, and it's a little pen. What it's gonna do, it's gonna deactivate my, I call it diamond edge, but it's really, HumanWare calls it diamond edge, but it's really computer font that we replace all the characters on the text. And what you wanna do is that I'm gonna go and choose my 2nd button on the top. It's a pen, but I'm gonna tap on it once and it's gonna be converted into a highlighter. And I'm just gonna change the size of that highlighter to very thin. And then I'm gonna go and highlight what I liked. and I'm going to highlight that, and it's going to keep it highlighted for me, and it's going to save it for the next time that I refer back to that text. I can change the color if I want of that highlight, and also I can maybe take a note, and I did it with my hand right now. As you can see, I did it with my finger, but I can use a stylus. I can use also a keyboard. Right now I have a Bluetooth keyboard connected to my device, which is for visually impaired. I have this keyboard right now connected to it, but if I'd like to enter text and a note, I can press and hold, and I'm going to be brought to a screen where I have, okay, so I thought I had it connected and maybe went to sleep, so I'm not connected, but it brings you to another window, and here I have my virtual keyboard where I can take some notes and then send it to the page, and I have that note right there, and I can select it and move it somewhere else. Maybe I want to place it at the end of my line there, so I'm just going to move it a bit. I can, as you can see, I can increase the size. Hold on here, I'm just going to deselect it, and I'm going to pan. Did you see what I just did here? To pan in this application is using 2 fingers. When you're in the editing mode in the Mat Connect, you use 2 fingers to pan in the document. And I'm just going to place it right here at the end of my sentence for later reference. And I can change the color of that font if I'd like to by going into the color palette and selecting it. Let's say I want to put it in red. So my color now, my text is in red. I can change the width or the size of it also. But let's also use the pen. So if I select the pen, which is this little icon here, I tapped on my second button there, and then I can use my stylus here, and I am just going to circle that resolution word, and I can take a note and note to refer back later. So this is very useful to take notes either on something that I'm reading. Imagine a student getting a homework math assignment, and he can really easily answer on here and then share it with you on Google Drive or Dropbox or by email. And if I hit back, all that is saved in my page, and it's going to stay there. As you notice here on my thumbnail, I can see where my note is, where I've taken my information, and I can refer that later. Or if I want to, I can press and hold and share that with a fellow student, with the teacher. Like I said, Gmail, Google Drive would be the best way. Let's say Google Drive, I select Google Drive, and then Google Drive application will pop up, and I can send it to whatever folder that I want to. I'm just going to save it to my root of my Google Drive here, and I just hit the save button at the bottom. Again, you can use the magnification tools or accessibility that are in Android. I could have triple tapped on the screen and get that text a lot bigger so that you can move around and know where you are in the screen and what to hit. So I see those things moving in the chat. I don't know if we have a couple of questions that I can answer right now.
Yes,
Well,
we.
why don't
Go
we,
ahead, Jim.
Yep, why don't we throw out the third poll question, and then we will jump into some of those questions in the chat. And
Perfect.
I'm going to drop that poll question into the chat now as well.
So what is the most immediate technology need that you will have in the next 9 months? What is the most immediate technology need that you will have in the next 9 months? Mainstream tech, such as an iPad or Chromebook, specialized AT, like a simple electronic magnifier, example of Jupyter, specialized AT smart electronic magnifier, like the Mat Connect, a non-electronic device, such as a handheld magnifier, or other, and again, please feel free to drop those in the chat so that we can capture that information and share it with the team. Again, what is the most immediate technology need that you will have in the next 9 months? Help us know what you need help with.
I love what somebody just wrote in the chat. Hard to tell, we'll be teaching virtually or not.
There's a lot up
Very
in the
good.
air right
Yep.
now.
Right.
We do know that. We feel that.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Thank you so much for your information. Again, you can feel free to please drop it in the chat. That is fine. And right now, 59% are saying mainstream tech, 23% specialized AT such as the Mat Connect, 8% simple electronic magnifier, 7% other, 3% that non-electronic device. Thank you so much. What were those questions?
Yes, we have two questions. One is asking what is the list of gestures that we're using? And the other one is to have the hyperlink to the recorded webcast. So we're going to be able to tell you and to write those hyperlinked in the chat for you. Let me jump to a few questions we had, Eric. It's all regarding the preferred contrasts and the use of the pencil or the marker. We have a few questions that look alike, so they want to know if when you switch from your document to the writing tools, if it changes the contrast. And when you change the contrast, does the color that you used when you were not in your preferred contrast stays the same? And is it possible to change the font when you import a document, if you use OCR, as you mentioned, or you select the font for the reading? So if you could answer a little bit those questions.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah, but they all look alike.
Okay, the contrast. You can have several levels of contrast here. As you can see, my contrast in this document, where as soon as I touch a page, my color contrast is white on black. But my application, my whole application, my contrast, my whole application is black on white. And there's several ways of changing the contrast. And one of them is when I select a page like this, and I select the second button at the bottom here, which is little gearbox. These are all the settings that you can do inside that page. There's a couple of things. You can go to a specific page, you can adjust the brightness, you can adjust the contrast. The contrast, this is either diamond edge. What we call diamond edge is really computer font, which is going to be replaced. And so you're going to see the document. Let's say you have an image, you do the OCR. The OCR is going to detect all the characters, and it's going to replace all those characters by a diamond edge font. Color means that it's going to keep the original color of the picture. Positive, it's just going to do the positive color, and then negative is the negative color on the image. Okay, so you can do that. And you can also choose the contrast colors. Contrast colors, like I said previously in my page, I have already selected white on black when I'm reading a text. But if I want to, I can select any kind of contrast color that I want to when I'm reading a text. I can have two different contrasts, like I'm having now, one for reading, one for navigating through my application. Let's say I just I choose my black on white, just like my application. Now, if I come back to my document, it will be black on white now. It's not white on black, it's black on white. When you're using the annotation tool, what's going to happen is that it's going to turn off the replacement of all the characters inside the document, and you'll get the real image. I'm just going to take an image here for an example. So it's really dark, huh? I'm just going to show you how to capture an image, and then we'll play around with that image. Okay. So to capture an image, let's say I have a math exercise. What I like doing is that, well, usually what you want to do is that you want to place the Mat Connect at a 90-degree angle. So I place my Mat Connect at a 90-degree angle. There's a little vibration that tells you when you get to that angle. And then what I do is that I put a little tape on the corner here. And I know that by feeling, when I align my corner with my sheet, I know that I have a full page. But before going up like that, I have to go into my magnifier first. So the magnifier is your camera, okay? And so like I said, I align my corner and I have a full page on my screen. and I'm just going to press and hold on the screen, and it's going to take a picture right away. Once I hear that little sound, you can drop the screen and then start using it. Because right now what it's going to do, it's going to try to do the OCR. It's not very good for math exercises. So what you want to do is maybe deactivate the OCR or the replacement of the diamond edge. I'm going to just save that here so that I'm going to refer to it. And what you do is that once you're inside, you can use your finger on the right-hand side and swipe down. And it's going to loop through positive colors, negative colors, or color. And it's going to come back to diamond edge. Okay, so now you see the difference between, I made it on purpose to take a math exam because you see the diamond edge a lot more like that. But when I go into my my annotation tool, when I click on that pen, it's going to turn off automatically that diamond edge. And then you can use again that, you can't do that. You would have to change it before going into your annotation. Let's say I want to have negative colors, go into my annotation, and then you have negative colors when writing on it. So if I write, I'm already in black. So that's not good. So it's not going to change. So what you want to do is maybe change the color of that and to, let's say, white. And then I can write on my negative color. Okay. So this is how you play around with the contrast. And there's another level of contrast where it's for the application, the whole application. I'm just going to go back to my main menu because I see time is running out here. You can scroll to your settings and you can change the color contrast of the whole application by going into user interface. And then you have colors and you have black on white, which is my set contrast. But if I'd like to switch it to white on black and go back. And I have black on white, white on black. And you'll notice that all the other colors, the icons can change also. So let's say if I choose, I know that Justine, I think Justine is black on cyan, if I'm not mistaken. So let's choose that here. So I chose that, and my color scheme has changed throughout the application, and my icons also. So I have that nice precise icons with a nice contrast that I love. So that's talking about the contrast and using the annotation tool.
Okay, very good. So the OCR, the question was, can we change the font for the OCR? And somebody is asking about the math example. If when taking a photo for math, is it best to turn off the OCR option?
Yes, it's best when you do math, it's best to turn off the OCR option. You can do that by going in, when you go into your magnifier, press the settings menu. And in here, contrast. So it's the second option in that menu. So remember, we went into my magnifier, selected my settings. I went a bit too quick for my, and I think I'm still connected to the Zoom. Am I right by saying that, Leanne? That's maybe why it's getting slow here. You choose contrast, which is the second option in the menu, and then you choose just colors, and you'll be back to colors, and you can deactivate the diamond edge automatically. So by doing math, it would be best to deactivate the OCR. And the font question, unfortunately, you cannot change the font when the OCR is done. It's a particular font that we use in the Prodigy application. But you can change the size when you zoom in to the text.
Okay, very good. Before you type with the virtual keyboard, and somebody's asking if it was possible to enlarge the letters of the virtual keyboard.
You can use the gestures that I just showed you with the Android. If you enlarge the numbers or the letters on that, you physically take more space on the screen. So we decided not to do that, but to use the triple tap that I showed you at the beginning. That would be best to scroll that keyboard.
Okay, and is there a way to lock colors so kids don't play with them instead of working?
Well, the Mat Connect has a feature that's very interesting. If you go into settings, again, I'm going too fast. If you go into settings, there we go. I think it's my Zoom that's, okay. So if you go into settings, user interface, and then you select interface, the first option on the top, you have different levels of interfaces. So these will lock out specific features so that students don't need to play around with it. So the basic will just be your basic magnifier. If you select that, your home application will be the camera application, and that's all. That's all what you get. You only have the basic magnifier, and you have distance the distance camera also available, zoom in, zoom out, and that's it. So there's no settings to play around. So your young students can use that without applying any or playing it in any settings. But if you want as a teacher to apply some settings like contrast, what you do in this magnifier here, press and hold the contrast button for about, I'd say about 5 seconds. You're brought to a menu. Now students, you're not supposed to show that to the student so that they don't know the shortcut, but here you can adjust the contrast, you can select the contrast of the text or the magnification, etc. And even if you want to change the interface, let's say the student grows up, you want him or she to use the OCR or being able to capture and save into a simple gallery. What you do is that press and hold on that contrast button, go in this menu, select settings, and this you'll be brought to the settings that you're used to and select user interface, and then you can graduate to standard. And in standard, what you'll get, again, your home application will be the camera, but you have more buttons at the bottom. You have access to a gallery, you have access to loop through contrast, like the other one. You have access to a distance camera, you have access to a capture to capture a document and have the OCR done automatically. Zoom in, zoom out. And then the gallery, if I go inside my gallery, it's a very simple gallery. There's no action. You cannot share information. It's all in here. It's a very simple, basic gallery that you have here. And then once your student grows up and this tool follows the student as they grow up, then you can press and hold again that contrast button. Go in the menu, settings, user interface, and they can graduate to the advanced interface. And that's your full version where they're allowed to touch all the settings and play around with the settings. By that stage, I think the student would be old enough to be able to control himself and not go and play in the settings.
All right, so let's do the last poll question. We're running out of time. We'll share the closing code, and we'll be able to take some additional questions offline. Go for it, Leanne.
Okay, assume your electronic magnifier has the following: near viewing, distance viewing, battery, smart technology like email and browsing on your web, and portability. Which of the following features would be your #1 priority? Image quality, screen size, weight, improved connectivity, or other? And feel free to write your information in the chat. Assume your electronic magnifier has the following: near viewing, distance viewing, battery, smart technology, portability. Which of the following features is your #1 priority? Image quality, screen size, weight, improved connectivity, or other in the chat. I'm still seeing it tallying up.
So we really appreciate you guys helping us out with these questions today. We know some of the feedback that we've gotten is that you want to keep this to 3 or so questions. We've snuck a couple of additional ones in today, so we'd like to say thank you for that.
Yeah, 47% image quality, 20% weight, 15% screen size, 13 improved connectivity, and then 4 dropping those in the chat. Thank you so much. back to you.
So I think what we want to do is share those closing code, right? We'll let
Well,
those who
first
need
I'm going to
go.
say thank you very much
Yeah.
so that I can stop the recording. You guys have a great afternoon, and we'll stay on for a little bit to see if there's any further questions.